Welcome and thank you for being here tonight. We are here in Miss Desiree's beautiful classroom, which is a perfect place for our incredible toddler teacher team to share some of their insights and skills and wisdom with you. This is great. This is the first time we've kind of done a sort of 2.0 level of learning from our teachers. Last year, there was a great panel discussion about managing and how to handle challenging toddler behaviors. And so now we're going to, actually take that to the next level and have a time for parents to share specific scenarios or challenges they have. And our wonderful teachers will take us through. So could you each introduce yourselves first, and then you can take it away from there.
Okay. I am Dominique Wells-Moats. I am the Toddler teacher for ADM. Yes, morning.
I'm Nowacky. I'm a Toddler lead teacher for school year classroom, and I share the Toddler coordinator position with Ms. Cherise.
Hi, I'm Cherise Sistrunk, Toddler lead teacher and coordinator. Oh, and summer camp director.
Hi, I'm Desiree McNeill, lead teacher of the toddlers. So as Sarah mentioned, this is kind of like 2.0 from the presentation last year. One of the reasons for that is because we got together, we were trying to discuss like what would be a great topic to present. And then we realized that there's a trend that no matter what the topic is, it always goes back to behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to hear from you, and we wanted to hear what were the behaviors that you're dealing with at home, so we could work as a team to help you, to help your child.
If you haven't had a chance to look at the video that we did last year, do that because there's a lot of helpful information in there. We're going to take questions so we can give you concrete tools to work with. But that video last year kind of covers a lot. So please take a look at it.
And it's on our website.
Yes, it's on the website.
And every year is a new adventure. So we're looking forward to, tackling some of these scenarios with you.
I was going to say every day.
Okay.
So as you hear us talk about some of these tools and approaches to helping your child, there are some key words or phrases that you'll continuously hear us say, not just tonight, but throughout your child's toddler career at Greentown, really. And some of those words are consistency, routine, limits, natural consequences, developmentally appropriate, and really another one I think would be follow through, which is one of my favorites.
Oh, and another thing, anything we share with you this evening is not going to be an instant solution for any of your challenges. But again, consistency is key. So hang in there. We'll get through it.
And don't be afraid to contact your child's teacher. We're always happy to help with situations that happen at home. Because it's rare that we see these things happen with the children in the classroom because they're an environment that's very structured. They have a lot of, they're confident in their own space. The room is literally set up for them. They have a lot of choices. So it's rare for us to see situations that you may describe at home because sometimes we're like, not my little. Always give you more information on how to work with that particular child because again, every child is different.
It will help keep that open communication, help bridge that gap between home and school, and just know that we're a team for your child. So yes. Buckle in, hold on tight. All right. First scenario that was submitted to, I feel like we're so legit. First scenario, not wanting to stay at a table for a meal. The second one is not wanting to wear a jacket. So I would say for the first one, not wanting to stay at a table for a meal. typically in our classroom, what we do, we start off, because sometimes this is a child's first time going to school, maybe first time sitting at a table. So the phrase that we say is, when you eat, you sit. When you drink, you sit. And you sound like a robot. You sound like a robot. You're even yourself like, oh my goodness. But I promise it works. And eventually, sometimes it's just a little look over, and they just see them stand up there, sit. Right? But then it's the times where it's just like, haha, get that moment, right? And now that's when we start getting into some consequences, right? Okay, you eat, you sit. Say if you say that 2 or 3 times. Okay, I'm gonna say one more time. If you get up again, that tells me you're all done. You can try that snack again later. You can try that, dinner again later, or we're all done. That just tells me it's time for bed. So, and also it sounds harsh, but your child won't go hungry. Right. And also, it's gonna benefit for your child and for you too, as far as that follow through of, you have to mean it. If you say it, mean it. You mean it. Okay, yes. So you have to stick to it. You have to stick to it, because then if they know they can just do a little pop-link, or just, and they got you, they're going to keep doing that over. So you have to stick to it. You can cry later in the other room, but it's for your child, just to know, like, oh, there are limits. So
For me, when I see this question, the first thing that comes to mind is, how long has a child been expected to sit at the table before now? What was the routine before? And if you didn't have a routine before, now's the time to establish that routine. If it's just for dinner time, if it's, if you want a child to sit at the table to eat a meal, then you have to establish that routine. You can't later say, oh, you're hungry, so I'm just going to give you something to eat. There's consequences. If you move, that tells me you're all done. But the question, I'm thinking, maybe the child wasn't expected to sit at the table before, and now they're expected to. They don't want to sit at the table. What can you do to make sure that that child knows that this is now the routine?
I was just gonna say also that your child's not out to get you. They understand the rules and the ground rules of the classroom at home, but they are toddlers, and it is their job to push that is developmentally appropriate. So they will continuously get up until you really enforce those natural consequences. But if you don't do the follow through, they are little scientists. They're problem solvers, and so they know, if I scream for this long and there's no follow through, then I get what I want. And so they're learning how to get what they want. So you have to react in a way that gives them what they
For the second part of this, not wanting to wear a jacket. It's cold outside.
You have to do the right thing.
So maybe they feel like they want to have a choice. If they have 2 jackets, say, okay, you're wearing a jacket. Would you like to wear the red one or the blue one? You choose. But it gives them a little bit of ownership in that decision. So try that. I would say try that. Give them a choice between the 2. They're still wearing a jacket, so you have to do it, right? But maybe if they had a choice, maybe they'd be more willing to do it. But they still have to wear it.
I was gonna say too, like, sometimes getting your child involved in helping you get your jacket on.
Yes.
So they can help you put your arms in and then show them how you zipper, if you have a zipper or a button. And sometimes that alone is all that's needed, just a little distraction. Thank you so much for helping me. Do you want my help, or can you put your jacket on all by yourself? And then that's the other choice.
And command hooks are friends. If you have like a little spot, near the entrance of your home where you can hang hook for yourself and hook a little hook for your child. Oh, now it's time to go get our jackets. So make it a routine that you're engaging in together. It makes it a little bit more interesting, I think, for the child too.
And I do enjoy that having that independence of doing things themselves. And, you know, for instance, today as a child, they were carrying around something that it was from home. I said, you need to put that in your copy. But yeah, I can't. And I said, oh, you can put it in your copy always. Oh, or I can do it for you. I don't know how to do it. You know, just it's the choices that I'm comfortable with, you know. It's like it's gonna get done. It's gonna be in the copy regardless.
Right.
But you know, I give you the choice to do it. So just having that, you know, that ability to choose or that, you know, it's kind of they want to be independent. You know, I think it's part of the natural process of human development. You know, we're born as babies, you know, we get teeth because we need to eat and not drink milk from our mother, you know, for a lifetime. We're not able to walk, then we get strong, we learn to walk, so we need to, you know, it's kind of that natural process of, you know, kind of separating from parents.
I was just gonna say too, like, but you could tell in Desiree's statement with the child immediately said, I'll do it myself. And sometimes that's really, I want to do it myself, but also trust that there will be help.
Yeah.
So when you do give a consequence and give choices and you follow through on that, the child will trust that if he didn't do it himself, Desiree was going to do it for him.
And then sometimes you need to put a little bass in your voice when you're redirecting because they're so sensitive to our emotions and everything that if they hear that little change in your tone of voice, they will understand that, oh, she's business or, you know, so,
Yeah.
so change your voice just a little bit.
Child feeling frustrated begins hitting and throwing items and is hard to redirect. Now, this says child feeling frustrated. So this is a young toddler, which I assume it is. They're so happy and sad.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily know frustrated, scared, anxious. They don't know those words. But if you're recognizing that, there's a couple different ways that you can kind of tackle this. Okay, you can flat out say, oh, you may not throw, throwing is not safe. That's easy enough, right? But actually give them some words, which I think we'll talk about a little bit later in our presentation. There's different ways that you can teach them words that sort of express their emotions. You can say, if you know they're frustrated, you can literally say, oh, I see that you're feeling frustrated. I sometimes get frustrated when I drop things or, you know, would you like a little help? You know, just giving them the words. And you can do that through your language and also through books, some children's books that we have. And you can't really expect them to really recognize the correlation of the word frustrated and emotion immediately. It's something that comes over time. They can learn words like frustrated, anxious, nervous, just like any other words, like triangle, circle, square. It's different things that they can learn, but that allows them to sort of speak their emotions to you more clearly. And it takes some time to get there, but it's something that you can kind of like mingle in your wheelhouse and their language development.
And Cherise mentioned books, and I know we're going to talk about that later, but I just wanted to say one of the great things about books is that you can give the word with a visual representation of it. So you can see what angry looks like and say, this is angry. You can see what happy looks like and give the word happy or jealous or, you know, bored, any term that describes how a child might feel.
As adults too, we also have to, you know, kind of like imitate that, you know, emotion, like so they can recognize what it looks like from us, you know. So, you know, again, awesome books about teaching emotions, and I feel like, you know, like practicing these things we do songs in the classroom, we have circle time songs. We sing about, being scared and angry, like 5 Little Ducks song, Mom felt so sad. And remember, I always say this, Toddler Teachers, this person out of blood, and the children have to be so animated when we do things, and they see that. So, and then they imitate. They imitate adults' behavior. That's just that's just natural. So, when we show them what those emotions look like and give them the names for these emotions, they're able to connect.
One thing about songs too, I was just thinking of, we'll do If You're Happy and You Know It, but we change the words. So they'll get to something like anger, go, if you're angry and you know it, take a breath. To kind of give them a tool for when they're feeling that way. Or if you're sad and you know it, what would you do? Ask for a hug, ask for a hug. So we invite them then to give tools that they might need to.
And I even just think, like, once they finally are able to kind of get a grasp of like those emotions, even sharing how you feel sometimes, because it is normal, it is natural to let out a sigh around a child. And 9 times out of 10, what's wrong? I was moving so fast, and guess what happened again? I dropped my pen. It's so hard. It's like just going into all that percent. Slow down. I just was a little upset, a little frustrated with myself, but next time I know. So it's like it's okay it's letting them know it's okay for them to feel that way, because we have those feelings too. So you don't want them to feel like ashamed that they're having these emotions. Just like, it's okay. You are this, you're that, that's okay. But
Part of this is, let them know that hitting and throwing is not okay. Yes, I understand how you feel, that your behavior is unacceptable. Hitting and throwing is unacceptable. So you also have to, show them that you understand how they feel, but you also have to be very firm on letting them know that behavior is not acceptable. Where do you go from there? Yes, I understand how you feel, but this is not okay. Provide a safe space for them. They'll cry. Let them cry. Parents are so afraid of having their children cry. They need to cry. Crying helps them self-regulate. Understand these emotions. Then they need to cry. Don't be afraid to let your children cry. Because they need to understand certain behaviors are not okay.
And then the crying will end. What time will it end? You don't know. But it will end. Like they have to let it out. But then it's also during that time where the crying is happening, they're not hearing anything you're saying.
Yeah.
So you trying to have a conversation, you're probably trying to talk louder than their cry. It's all noise. Yeah. Let your child calm down like that within that safe space, that safe spot. Have a spot for them. They know to go there if they get upset. Just make sure obviously they're safe. That's very
Even the classroom, we have multiple areas in the classroom where we have little pillows, where a child, if they're feeling certain emotion, even if they're just tired, they're able to just go sit and, if they're upset, to calm themselves down, especially at the beginning of the school year when children are separating from parents and they, going through separation anxiety. We have them, the children that's not crying, if one child is walking around the classroom crying, it's distracting. So we give these children this space. If you want to cry, we don't never say don't cry or stop crying. We have to kind of, show them that we understand how they feel. So we say, this is where you can cry. I understand you're upset. I understand you're sad. This is where you can go to cry. And then we don't leave them sit in the home all day. We go back and say, hey, touch the back. You want to take my hand? Let's go find some work. But sometimes I would say to the child, are you going to cry? They would say, yeah. But just providing that safe space for them to cry, to let it out. They need that. And that's something you can do at home. Just make sure it's free of, You can even put like maybe a comfort item that they like at home, a nice blanket, a nice pillow, something for them, and make sure that, they're not, if they're like frailing, that they can't hit their head on anything. So make sure it's just a nice, comfortable, safe space for them to grow.
And once that becomes a routine, you'll notice sometimes children, when they do get frustrated or upset, they take themselves over. They really have ownership over that. I'll never forget one year, a child went over and sat down on the pillow. She was 2, and I just asked how she was doing, and she said, "I need a brain break."
Even came with the Cherise, this is actually the past couple of months, so we started to cry, and one day he came in and went right to the pillow. Like, okay, yes, but didn't cry. Didn't cry. He just sat there, and I have noticed this. If you one of the pillow areas based in strategic area where they observe on children learning. A lot of children learn through observation. So they will be at that in that pillow area just sitting, calming themselves, but they're observing everything that's going on in the classroom and they're learning. So it's not like they're sitting in a pillow all day and not doing it. And really different. Children, when they come in, they don't cry all day.
Yeah.
I can promise you that.
So I'm just thinking, even yesterday I had a child. You can sit right here. And even another child over is like, thanks for trying to help. I was like, when you're ready to talk, we can't, it's okay to feel sad. I know you miss mom. And I said, I will come back. I'll give you your time. And doing my thing, and all of a sudden I didn't hear crying anymore. She comes on over. Hey, Miss Dom. I was like, got down to the level of because it's also important in that time to also rebuild that relationship. Check back in, see like, how are you doing? What if it was like the wrong stuff, what could you have done instead? And she was just like, good now. And she gave me a hug. I was like, I'm so happy. She's like, I'm happy now. I'll see mom later. And I said, you will. And I said, if you miss her, maybe you can do some artwork, maybe you can make her something. I can write a special note on there for you.
Yeah.
So,
And that's important, what Ms. Dom said, you have, after they have calmed down, you do have to go back and rebuild that relationship and, talk about the situation, but it's important not to use too many words with toddlers. It's gone. Even if you go back too far, they don't even know why they were crying or why they were upset. So it's important to not, let too much time go in between, and then also don't use too much words. When we have been away from our son and come home, he's excited, but all the time he will run up and hit us while hiding a smile. Oh, it's funny because I have children who are grown up for that. I just call it love bite, because with the excitement, they just see you, they would run up to me and just I think. It's like they need to like I'm so happy to see you. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't, fighting for any sort of particular reason. They all have language, but it's like, it's just that excitement of seeing, parents.
They just love you so much.
Yeah. Say with like any type of action, not that it's directly related to this, but if a child hits a parent or is going to hit another child and they make eye contact with you and they smile as they're doing it, it's not that they're happy to do this behavior, it's you still love me, or you're going to stop me, you're going to help me to keep me from doing this. So sometimes children will look directly at an adult before they do something, and that's them saying, help me.
Yeah.
Or they'll do something and they'll look at you and smile, and that's the you still love me.
Or you can give them an alternative. You can say, you know, when you hit me, that doesn't make me feel good, that hurts. Instead, I know you're happy to see me. Yeah, you know, and just, you know, be very natural and come up with a little, you know, little hand movements you can do with each other, you know. So, because that's his way of greeting you, to say, I'm happy to see you.
Yeah, I see the concern though, because you don't want this child to hit other people and think it's okay. So you do that, it's good to just give an alternative. Or maybe run up to him before he can run up to you.
We
No.
we tell our son he may not do something, but oftentimes he does it anyway. He won't make eye contact when we try to discuss.
This is such a toddler.
Oh my God.
Because their brain, they understand the rules, they know the rules, they can repeat them. But there's this drive to like do it. Like I see a leaf, I'm gonna pull it. And, like, but it's that restraint that they're still developing that self-regulation. So it's they go and they do something. And so the eye contact piece is probably feeling shameful. They did that. They do know it's not right, and then they feel bad about it.
Yeah, I had a kid last week. I think maybe threw a ball at someone or something. And I said, hey, let's come. He said, I'll sit down. I said, sit yourself down. Let's talk about what happened. And it was that no eye contact. And I'm like, you're not in trouble. I just want to talk about what happened. This is a child who's Cherise, but we could have that conversation. Okay. And I was like, why did you sit? I said, I know you're calm. It's okay. It happened. That immediate. I'm like, wow, you already just set yourself out.
So this is important where you have set limits. Set limits, consequences, and redirection. All of those goes with each other.
And with the eye contact part, if you feel like your message needs to be received clearly, you can just try in a loving way, go right down to their level and kind of cup their cheeks very gently. You might dart their eyes here and there, give them credit. In fact, you may not do that. You can make it clear, be firm but loving, and you might have to do that. You might feel like you're doing it over and over and over. I remember my mom saying, how many times do I tell you? Now, for them, this is skills that they're developing, and you literally have to do things over and over and over. Like Ms. Dom said, you might feel like a robot, but just have to be consistent with it, be even keel with it, and be very matter of fact about it. Show no emotion. And I know that's hard to do, but you know, just be even keel about it.
And sometimes depending on the child's age, you can say, look into my eyes. Please look at my eyes. Or with toddlers, very young toddlers, we would kind of like block the peripheral of toddlers in their brain. So we would block it so they force actually look into your eyes. Yeah. And then once you make that eye contact, then you can redirect.
So where am I? It's my mind. My mind. What color am I? Oh, there you are. So get into the matter of fact.
Yeah, and sometimes with an older toddler, sometimes I'll say, why don't you sit right here when you're ready to speak with me? Then you may get up and I'll walk away. And if they get up, I'll go back. Are you ready to speak to me? And if they say no, sit right here. And when you're ready to speak to me, then you can come and get me. Then I'll go over and check again.
But again, if he does something that you told him not to do, you have to have consequence. If he does it anyway, you have to follow through to consequence. Following through, that's why I say it's my favorite, because this guy tell a child, you can't pick up that stuff, right? And they do it anyway. I say, if you pick up that dog, this is what's going to happen. They pick it up again. You know, I have to make sure that what I said is going to happen, I have to make sure that. Because get away with it. I kind of like to say because, they're so intelligent, and they know that if they get away with something one time, they will keep doing it. It's like testing the limits, pushing boundaries, and they do that with parents. So many times they will, mom would say something, and the child, and very young children, you would see this, do this. They would put a dad and say, "Can I use not dad not knowing that mom already said no. So they'll play mom and dad, against each other. But again, have a consequence, set boundaries, have consequences, and follow through.
And I was just thinking that first time that, count yourself up, you're going to do that follow through. That first time is going to be rough if your child has not had that boundary, that limit set. Yes, it's going to be rough. So prepare for, the big tantrum, prepare for all of it, but just know in the end it's going to be worth it. But just know that first time, they're going to be like, why would you ever set this limit? Like, why are you doing this to me? I was able to do this whatever I want, or I could throw this, and it's just like, no, not anymore. And they're just like, so that first time is going to be rough, but just know it's worth it.
It's not just rough on the child, it's also rough on the parents.
Yeah.
To see you, causing your child to cry. It's really, really hard. And just know emotionally, it takes a toll on both parent and child. So
And take your breaths, be kind to yourself as well. I'm not a parent to human, I'm a parent to two fur babies. But these children that you put in my care every day, I love them so much. And of course, you don't want to see them cry. You don't want to hear that extra, they put in that cry, but just know it's to benefit them, it's to benefit your house and your environment.
One more thing about consequences. They should be natural, pretty much immediate. You don't want to go back 20, 30 minutes later. Oh, you did that. Now you have to pick this up or you can't use it.
Yeah.
Like the example we were talking about when the child didn't want to sit to eat. Okay, well then you can't eat right now. If they're, throwing something that shouldn't be thrown, you may not use that. That's natural and immediate. And it's important to keep it kind of tight with the time, because if you're doing something 30 minutes later, they're about to do things. Well, yeah.
You also want everything to be developmentally appropriate so that the children understand. You want to make consequences and household rules that the children understand. So if you ever need any help figuring out how to say certain things or to create certain boundaries and limits, email your teachers. We would love to help. We can write up some phrases for you to use at home. Like when you eat, you sit.
Giving you guys a time check, so it's 7:10, so just so you know.
For repeating behaviors after being told and understanding, understanding that it's a bad behavior. We kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, just that toddlers, even though they understand, they do repeat those behaviors. And no matter how many times you tell them, you're gonna have to tell them like 60,000 more times. But as long as you create those limits and you have the natural consequences and you follow through on them, you will start to see those behaviors dissipate.
And even then just involving them in the process. Oh, when you hit you, then okay. Just holding them accountable to.
And sometimes I think they need an alternate thing to do. All bad behavior isn't bad behavior. It's like exploration. So maybe they just need to shake their sillies out, or if you feel like they're misusing something, give them something else that's more appropriate to use with it. Like if they're banging puzzle pieces, what it is. They need to just get it out of their system. But all these behaviors aren't just bad. It's your child exploring and just trying to navigate the world.
And telling you kind of like, their need. They need, like you said, yes, what are they telling you they need? That's wrong.
Tantrums at 5 years old. What I would say about tantrums at 5 years old is I would approach it the same way we would approach a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. Starting out with the limits, making sure that you have limits at home that your child understands, making sure that they understand the natural consequences. This is kind of a general question, so if we're more specific, we could be more specific with our answer. But the one thing that I wanted to highlight for tantrums, especially at 5 years old, is what's happening before that tantrum. What time of day is it? Dr. Lisa Dissinger, school psychologist, calls some hours at night, like right now, the twilight hours. Sometimes that's really when children start to break down. They're tired, they're hungry, or their bellies are full and they're sleepy and they're ready to go to bed. Something maybe happened that day. So what's going on physiologically with them that might
Twilight
be
hours
adding?
for adults. I'm like,
So if there's something that's like a predecessor to the tantrum, kind of observe and see what's happening before that tantrum occurs. So that maybe you can kind of facilitate that time to better help your child regulate themselves. When the tantrum does happen, like Desiree mentioned earlier, make sure that your child's in a safe space, nowhere that they can hit their head, their legs, hurt themselves. I mean, sometimes a 3-year-old is really big. I think a 5-year-old is a lot bigger. So maybe a little more difficult to manage their body, but you just want to make sure they're safe. One book that I don't think I attached to the PowerPoint, but I want to recommend, it's called 1, 2, 3 Magic by Thomas Phelan. He introduces this concept where it's to stop a behavior. So and it works at any age. So it could be 3, 4, 5. A behavior happens. I'll give an example, maybe at circle. Children are silly and then they get up and they start grabbing onto each other. So for me, I would have a conversation about the behavior I wish to stop. At circle time, this happens. When I see it, I'm going to count to 3 very slowly. 1, 2, 3. When I get to 3, then I name the natural consequence. So that natural consequence might be, I will ask somebody to help you away from circle. And it gives the child a choice in that moment when it happens. When I start to count, that's 1. If it continues, that's 2. If I get to 3, remember, I'm going to help you away from circle. And so usually the children will stop. And a child at 5 years old will really understand that more so than a toddler in a toddler environment. And if it works for them, I'm sure it would be very helpful for a 5-year-old. And I know I brought in Lisa Dissinger earlier. I just want to mention her again because she's such a great resource that Town provides. She is an expert in child development and behaviors. And I know we attached her title, school psychologist, along with her, which can be very frightening to parents sometimes to hear. It's very jarring. For us, it's very natural, and it's a normal pathway for us to ask her for suggestions and for help. So she is such a great resource that you also have, being parents at Greentown. So if you have questions, reach out to your teacher, and we could always set up a phone call, or if you would like that, like Lisa, to come and observe, she can do that as well.
how to develop a speaking routine?
I have that question for myself.
I'll kind of run you through what we do here. And it's probably somewhat similar to some families' bedtime. We usually have a few minutes of story time shortly before the children go to their cots and go to sleep. So you have to keep it consistent. Some stories, you have to limit it because they're going to want to hear 13. So you can say, okay, we'll just do 2 stories. And just actually, let's just say 1 story. Just show them 2 books. Which one should we read first? Read that one. And then, okay, now we read this one. And that's it. Because you'll be reading for an hour. You know, once they do any toileting or anything they need, turn down the lights, take them to their bed or crib, and just stay there with them for a little bit. What we do in a classroom is if a child needs it, we'll sit there, we'll put like a gentle hand on the back. We'll ask them, would you like me to rub your back? Most of them do. My gosh. Sit back a little bit. You can have some really soft instrumental music in the background. Really, really low lights. Again, you're kind of like setting the ambiance, so to speak. From there, before you know it, if you're lucky, you'll fall asleep. Now, if your child is 30 minutes later, wants to get up and go to the bathroom, right? And you know they went to the bathroom already. Say, okay, let's go. Got one chance. All right, let's go. And then the next day, before they go to sleep, you can say, oh, I'm going to use the bathroom now. And that's it. But when you lay down, that's it. They might get fussy about it. They'll wiggle. They need to get there. They need to dance. But just keep all of that the same every day. Same consistent. Pure and simple.
And make sure your bedtime routine is built into your work home schedule. You know, don't expect to have a bedtime schedule, routine, a sleep time routine if you're, you know, you come home at 9 and child at 7. You know, you have to be present if you want to have to develop that routine. And remember, bedtime routine starts from active work. You know, this is not something that you say, okay, let's develop a sleep time routine. This is something that should be happening gradually over time. You have to develop that routine to suit your family needs. Like every family is different. You know, some families, children's bedtime sleep time is at 7, some at 8, some at 9, depending on that family's schedule. So build a routine that's, you know, that will best suit your lifestyle. Don't expect because, you know, your friend's child is asleep at 7 that, oh, my child has to be asleep at 7 too, you know. And it's important to spend that time with your child, you know, just read a book, hug, play the bed with them. They you know, especially if they're in school, they're away from you for a long time and they just want to be close to you. You know, lay with them if you need to, if you're in a crib, you know, just sit there for a little bit, even if it's in, you know, in a chair in a corner that they know that, you know, you're there, but, you know, but they're in their crib or bed, you know, laying down quietly, soft music. You pick up a book and read, you know, it kind of comforts them into knowing you're there, but you're not interrupting that process. So, and again, you know, build something that suits your family lifestyle.
And definitely try to keep it as consistent as possible. You don't want to completely change it one night and then completely throw them off.
Yeah.
You know, because like Ms. Desiree was saying, they're developing a comfort level with every step of that routine. So if you only read one book this night and you went and you leave, or if someone else comes for an hour, like the sleeping routine to make it routine, it needs to be routine. Right. Just keep it. Because children, they thrive on consistency.
Especially toddlers at this age, they love consistency. That's why the toddler program, you know, we have reset at the same time every day. You know, we do things at the same time every day because they strive on that consistency and that routine.
After a while, they'll start telling you.
It's certainly actually, yeah.
Just one thing about a routine is that it gives them a sense of control. And toddlers really want control in their lives. And that's a part of it. So they can trust in their routine, they feel good, and they have some, again, ownership over their lives. Circle time. It is circle time.
How to handle toddler fighting, pulling hair of older siblings. Wow. This sort of kind of makes me think of the other question. It could be the other question that we were talking about a little bit earlier about language and kind of what happens a lot with young toddlers when they're developing their speech. They don't really have the words to express themselves all the time. So they kind of they act out in a physical way. But biting, definitely not okay. Holding hair is definitely not okay. So you, I would say you definitely have to make that absolutely clear. You may not bite, you may not pull hair. It hurts.
And I'm also thinking for the older sibling, to be able to tell that young, that's not okay. You may not pull my hair. No. You can say no, because at that point, that is that older sibling body. No. Stop.
And I have to tell you, just as toddlers like to assert their authority or their independence with parents, they try to do the same thing with siblings, but siblings hover. They hover a lot. They try to help.
Oh, no.
They're so, without saying, because they don't have the language, you say, get away, I need something.
One of your students say to one of their siblings who took them to the classroom, said, thank you. Then like, you.
It all depends on the circumstance, trying to get a read on when it's happening, why it's how it's happening, and what are the situations, what is the situation at the time of this incident happening? Because I can tell you, siblings can be very overwhelming, especially older siblings. And sometimes they just want to be left alone, because remember, they're in the environment, if they're, school where they're doing everything for themselves. They want water, pour themselves before they can do snack, work. And they come home and it's not just parents like, oh, baby, but listen, it's like this you, it's really frustrating. So pulling and pulling hand biting could be, a way of them expressing frustration.
Which is, I would also have a conversation with the older child if it's something like that. Your brother or sister, they want space.
Yeah.
They want space. You can help them by letting them try themselves so they can then do it themselves.
Yes.
They can sit
Bibliotherapy, by definition, is an expressive treatment that involves the reading of specific text for the purpose of healing. Now, for toddlers, these are a few books that it gives them words to express their needs and their feelings. Now, I would say these are pretty fun books. Pete the Cat, he's basically a mascot. Days by Dr. Seuss. In this particular book, he uses a lot of color to sort of convey the emotions that he's noting in the book. And the way I feel, like the font of the pages and the expressions on the children's face really drive home the meaning. Now we have a few minutes. I'm just going to read a tiny bit of the Pete the Cat book because it's our favorite.
Little excerpt.
So this is Pete the Cat and his magic sunglasses. Now what's interesting about this book is it names the different emotions, but it also names why they have those emotions. And in the end, everything is going to be all right. So Pete the Cat did not feel happy. Pete had never, ever, ever, ever been grumpy before. Pete had the blue cat blues. Then, as if things were not bad enough, along came Grumpy Toad. And Grumpy Toad was never happy. He always wore a frown. Okay, guess what? Grumpy Toad was not grumpy today. He said, these cool blue magic sunglasses make the blues go away. They help you see things in a whole new way. So Pete put on the cool blue magic sunglasses and he looked all around. The birds are singing, the sky is bright, the sun is shining, and I'm feeling all right. All right, now I'm just gonna finish with this one little scenario here. Pete thanked Grumpy Toad for the cool blue magic sunglasses and he went on his way. And soon he saw Squirrel. Squirrel did not look happy. Pete said, "What's wrong, Squirrel? I'm so mad. Nothing's going my way. I only found one acorn today." See, that's why he's mad. Acorn. So Pete said, "Try these cool blue magic sunglasses. They help you see things in a whole new way." So Squirrel put on the cool blue magic sunglasses and looked all around. Awesome. The birds are singing, the sky is bright, the sun is shining, and I'm feeling all right. Now I'm going to stop here, but there's other words in this book, like frustrated, angry, and a couple other things in this book. But it tells you specifically, the reason behind those particular emotions. And I do want to say, if you think about getting any books like this, they're not for emergencies only. And they will in your everyday reading.
Yeah.
They're fun to read.
You sleeping routine?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the one last thing we wanted to mention, again, just about resources for you. Your first resource is your child's teacher. We all want to help. Sometimes things happen at home that we don't know about. Let us know, email us, set up a phone call. We want to help you. Some book recommendations. We have Positive Discipline, 0 through 3 years old by Dr. Jane Nelson, and also Positive Discipline, which is for like older children, also by Dr. Jane Nelson. The Whole Brain Child is a really great book by Dr. Daniel J. Siegel and Dr. Tina Payne-Bryson. That really helps you to understand what's going on in your child's brain and how to redirect them in simple terms. So it's not like doctors writing to doctors. And also Dr. Lisa Dissinger, again, our school psychologist and child expert. We love her. We appreciate her help so much, and she is a resource for you as well.
And that concludes our Toddler Teachers Q&A.
Unless there's any questions, I know it's 7:30.
We're getting more and more.
Any questions from anybody? Here or at home? No questions. Take a bow, lady.
On the tree.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Ready for Oprah. Thanks, everyone at home. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.